Well, good morning. It is October 5th. It is actually the 5th day of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and you're tuned into the Vital Update. Sarah, welcome. How are you?
I am good. Enjoying my Tuesday morning. Happy to have some sunshine after all that rain. So it's been good.
Yeah, the weather's been great.
Yeah.
Good football. Well, it was good football weather, not very good football game this past weekend.
I heard it was rough. I heard it was rough.
Like all of my favorite teams lost. LCA lost, but they did lose to a very, very good team, the number one team in the state. And then obviously LSU and the Saints both lost, but we're not going to talk about that today.
Brush it off.
Well, I am super excited. I've been waiting on this guest for a long time. So we got a very exciting, dynamic woman, business owner who is going to come on. This is Missy Manuel.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are y'all?
I'm doing
Good.
great.
Thanks for coming on today. How are you doing, Missy?
Well, you're welcome.
And actually, so we want to talk about a couple things with you, but the event that you're actually hosting is going to be Live2Lead. That's coming up in the middle of the month. And actually, that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on was A, to talk about that event, and then B, that's actually how we met. I don't know if you remember this, but this is the actual.
Well, I do.
You gave me, and this was actually 7 years ago at the Lafayette campus of Our Savior Church.
Yeah.
Great book by John Maxwell called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And I've actually referenced this book so many times since you gave it to me. I very much appreciate it. It is a great book. I've actually said that to my staff a lot. But when I ask them questions, I'm like, I have to ask questions. And sometimes it gets frustrating on their part, but I ask a lot of questions.
Honestly, at the end of the day, we appreciate the thoroughness more than anything. And he definitely references that book quite a bit, Missy. So he's practicing what he's preaching.
It's good. Good stuff.
Well, Missy, can you just give us I know you kind of have, obviously you're part of Manual Builders, but you've also got your own consulting practice that we actually utilize as Vital uses you. Kind of tell us a little bit about Thryve Consulting and how that got started and kind of the background of that.
Okay. I've always done really organizational health and leadership development at manual companies. But I also have a company, Thryve Consulting, which focuses on personal growth and leadership development for people outside of manual companies. So really just look at the person as a whole and look at how they're wired. You'll see on the back of my screen, just self-awareness teachings, things like that. So I'll go into companies and do coaching, do personality assessments, and really help the leaders to lead their people well and grow their companies. So
I think that's interesting too, because we've actually adopted that practice, not only part of our business, but even our hiring process is now we'll go through, do the assessment, figure out their personality traits and all that stuff that you actually help us do that on a regular basis. That's been a huge benefit for us.
You have to know your people. You have to know your people, and and that's how you can start helping them grow, because they have to know themselves to grow themselves. And you knowing them and knowing about them helps you to bring them along. But I did meet you at the first time I hosted, which
that was the first time? I didn't know.
Yes, Live2Lead has been in existence 8 years. And so my first time was with you, and I was scared to death. But I figured you had the technology piece down, and I was very impressed when I met you, just with your growth mindset, and you were just studying, and you were into leadership. And so I was like, I want to work with this guy. And this morning I was thinking about coming on, and Maxwell says you have to give up to go up. And that's one of the laws. And you worked for free because we were hosting at a church, and you gave your time, and it was amazing. And you pulled it off like a charm. And now we work together. And so it's been a really good, you never know where that yes is going to bring you.
Well, you've been, and you probably don't even realize the impact you've had on just me and our business and how we've been able to grow and really implement some of the stuff that you've taught us. And every time we do a workshop with you, it's so informative, not only for us personally, but also like then you start connecting the dots of, oh, how do we interact with these people and why do we interact that way? And it's such a cool thing to experience.
It really is. Great.
I'm telling you, if anybody's never done anything like that, it's definitely worth the time to do it.
Well, and the thing, Paul, people think they have to spend gobs of money to grow their people and to grow their companies, and you don't. I mean, when we started, it was grab a book and all read the book and talk about the book because we didn't have any training funds, and so, I mean, you can start, just with the Live2Lead, bring your team to Live2Lead, discuss it after, talk about notes. How are you going to execute what you learned? You don't need a lot of money to start growing your team and yourself. And that's where it starts. I mean, you can't give what you don't have.
Right. Well, and on the event side, we'll talk a little bit of details of that, but you've actually, not only did you start this with, said 7 years ago was the first one you did with them, but you're actually a John Maxwell certified coach as well.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
And so were you doing that prior, or was that something you kind of did after getting involved with the seminar?
Live2Lead, no. I was certified in 2012 because I came in, my background is counseling. So I came into Manual Builders and I had some tools in my toolbox, but at some point I figured, I really need more tools. And so I found John Maxwell, and the reason I aligned with him is just his heart for people and transformation, and he wants to change the world. And it's not just about making money, and it's not just about sheer leadership. It's about the person and growing the human and making them better and living into their potential. And so he just, and I'm a person of faith, he is too, and he just does that really beautifully. I don't know, it's really a good fit. And so I got in there in 2012, and my first Live2Lead was 7 years ago. Yeah. So
yeah, I think it was around 2014. It was so it's been a little bit, but no, John Mack. Every time I hear him speak, it's just like, man, it's not one of those. He's not a speaker that you can't understand. He's always really down to earth. It's just it's very practical, and it's such good advice, and all his books are just amazing.
He sits on the stool like he's just on your couch. It's good.
Well, so give us a little bit of rundown of what the event is. I know we've referenced it a couple of times. Tell us kind of what that's going to be and when it is. And
it'll be on October 15th. Starts at 8, I think, and it goes till noon. And the reason it's a half-day event is just to make it easier on business owners. We don't have to close for the whole day. We don't have to pull our people out for the whole day. And we will have speakers like Ed Milet, which is a huge thought leader, just positive mindset. He's a real entrepreneur. Valerie Burton, real positive psychology, how to think different, because everything goes back to mindset. We have Jeff Henderson, who's Forbes says is one of the top 20 speakers in the world. And then Jamie Lima, who does IT Cosmetics, and she sold to L'Oreal for $1 billion, and she was like a waitress. Wow. So she just grit, resiliency, and of course John Maxwell will teach on leadership. But really, we're just going to be, it's a simulcast. So we're going to be displaying the speakers, have some time to unpack it, maybe a break, but it's a real just packed time of absorbing information and that half day. And just, we'll give tips on how to bring it home and execute it. Cause you can always go to good conferences and then do nothing with it. And that's not really what we want. But it's October 15th. It's again a half day at Our Savior's Church Midtown campus. And so it's gonna be good. So that's next Friday. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh wow,
next Friday.
Next Friday.
Yeah. Time is just flying by.
Yeah. So we're excited.
So I know for us, whenever I went to that event and really started kind of looking, it really, it changes your perspective. It makes you start looking, and even there's times where you're like days and weeks after the event where you're thinking and referencing some of these things, and you really start looking at how you need to change as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things, in fact, it's right there behind me, vision, that's and leadership. Those two things are what are pillars of our core values. And I really have a firm belief in our business. And I really think a lot of this is we've kind of modeled what y'all kind of done for years.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I think every single person at our business is a leader in some form or another. They're either leading the customer through things, they're leading other people through things.
Number one, Paul, they're leading themselves. And that's, I taught this morning, self-leadership. You're the hardest person you'll ever lead. And, it's the most important person you'll ever lead, because you can't give what you don't have. And we have to lead ourselves. We leave a wake behind us like a boat. And hopefully that weight is not full of bumps and it's hard for people to ride with us. So, and the values piece, I think, as we learn, as we grow, we know we have to have a structure to grow our people around, hold accountable, how to measure. And so, we've worked together in developing that structure. And, it was trial and error for me in how to get some type of culture put together in leadership development. And so, having that structure is important. Y'all have done the structure.
And I was going to actually ask you about that, because it's kind of, y'all have experienced a ton of growth in the last really 2 years, even. How is that more challenging the bigger you get, just from a leadership perspective? How is that something y'all are kind of working through? Well,
it's easier to lead 7 people, and them and all about them. And then, now, I onboarded 3 new people that I've never met before. And so, there is some distance. You have to be real intentional about gathering them, training them, knowing them. We have a huddle next week, just informal, because we don't see each other as much. And there's so many personalities with COVID. Now we're pivoting every day, whether it's materials not there. So just really growing together. But if you don't have a structure, Paul, and you don't know what you're hiring to and what kind of culture you're trying to hire for, you can really it costs a lot of money, as to hire people and then have to let them go. And you and your people have trained them for months, So it's just having a system of growth and development and building a culture. And then everything goes through that. That makes everything so easy.
Well, and I think it also helps with just bringing clarity to the team. Mm-hmm. At least it did for us. We're smaller, and I find it somewhat amusing. You think it's easy to lead 7 people. It's not easy for me.
No.
I try. I do my best, but it's definitely been, even for us as small as we are, it's been very difficult and a stretch for me to be able to kind of do some of that. So all these books and conferences like that are very helpful for me personally, which is one of the reasons we bring you in. I try to bring you in at least once a year to do that. But I think what's neat about not only the conference and kind of what you bring to the table for us is it helps formulate that vision for us. We really sit down and think, where do we want to be? How do we want to get there? Do we have the right people doing the right tasks? And it really just kind of objectively, where you can sit down and kind of look at your whole business plan, and then not only what you're wanting to grow to, but then you can start really coaching each individual person on your team,
right,
in what they need to grow in.
And vision, you have to have a snapshot of a preferred future. I always say, play a movie of what you want Vital to look like in 2 years. That's you're there. And so when we want to get from here to there, we can map out how we get there. And then every person has a job to get to serve that mission. And so, yes, we need accountability. Yes, we need measurement. Yes, we need to fix what we find, but it's pretty simple. Henry Cloud has a great teaching that I've taken on with regard to vision and strategy, engaging talent, holding accountable, and then fixing what you find. And it's pretty simple. It's not simple to do, but once you have, again, that structure, even when you're trying to build culture, if you have a structure, it just helps to come back to that structure,
Well, and I think that's kind of what it seems like. It's easier in this regard to build the culture when you're smaller, because you kind of, if I can get that right now,
Yep.
then as we grow, it should be easier to plug those.
There were so many days Tim and I would look at each other and we were like, can we just close and start again? Because we were learning and growing at the same time. And so we were having to go backwards and fix stuff and develop leaders to handle the load. So it was more difficult. You're in a sweet spot where you can build a foundation, which is the correct way, and then go from there. You need layers of people to grow a business. At one time we had just Greg and then a bunch of people, and the whole load was on him, and it was not good, and he didn't care for the work. And so he wanted to quit almost daily. But once we got some layers to take some of the load off, he loves his job. And so again, as you grow, Sarah, and you have layers of people, it just becomes more fun,
Well, even so, when we had gotten you to come in and do the initial meeting with us for our assessments, and then I had brought you in, I guess, about a year later, maybe a little longer, and it was like the change of even how my behaviors, my tendencies changed over time, which was, and I've asked you about that because it was very interesting to me. You're forced into a spot as a leader that you kind of have to adapt. And so some of those natural tendencies that I don't think are natural are now things that I've been learning.
Right.
It's just interesting to see that growth even in me personally. So
yeah, it's been cool to watch y'all grow.
I appreciate all you do for us. It's very, very nice. And if anybody wants anything with Miss Missy, Thryve Consulting, we're going to put up all your Facebook and all that stuff up to get in touch with her. Comment on the video. I'll make sure she gets it. But I'm telling you, that has been the most eye-opening thing for us, is being able to do those assessments. Or I can't say enough about them. But anything else we need to know about the event that's coming up? It's next
next Friday.
Next Friday. It's pretty simple. Again,
but you need to pre-register, right? We need to pre-register for the event.
You need to pre-register on Eventbrite. We do have CEUs available you can apply for CEU credits if that's something with your licensing. The Association for Human Resources definitely gets credits. They've already been approved. It's just going to be a day of learning and, getting a plan to execute when we go back to work, which is very important. I am hosting with two other coaches, Maxwell coaches, one a mortgage company and another is a real estate agent. So we'll be there and, to answer any questions or anything, but it should be it gets better every year. And last year I was hosting it, but then COVID hit, we didn't go public. So, but this year we're expecting a good crowd and it should be really good. So anything y'all need, any questions, if y'all want to freshen up on y'all's assessments or any of your systems, just let me know.
Well, we're going to definitely need to do that for whenever.
Y'all help me with my systems tech wise, and I'll help you with your growth systems.
Catherine has actually made it back stateside from being deployed, so when she gets back, we're going to do another meeting where we can all sit down and do that again.
Definitely.
You don't want to see that. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get 2 tickets that we're going to give away.
Great.
To the event. So if anybody wants to comment on this video, and that'll be your entry into that. and we will definitely get that to you before the Friday. So I'll just coordinate that. Who needs to get that? Anything else we need to know, Sarah, about the event?
No, I think we're good. Like Paul said, just like and comment below, and we'll go ahead and we'll register you for the giveaway, and we'll have all of that figured out by October 14th, and we'll have everybody set up and squared away to go. Missy, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
We always enjoy talking with you. I think I get my positively mind blown every time I listen to you speak. So it's always a good day. Thank you again for coming on.
Well, you're welcome. I love being on.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Bye.